And as I was sitting and thinking, well, what will it be? You know, I had a sense that I wanted it to be in the Hill District. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I wanted it to be in the Hill District. It struck me that that on the one hand, we were part of the Hill District. And even to the extent that we were not, I wasn't sure how good neighbors we were to the Hill District. It struck me that every freshman that comes in gets warned up and down about how dangerous it is and cautioned about not to go there. And I'm sure parents as well, and I've heard this, and it's not a suspicion, have admonished and cautioned and commanded students never to set foot in there, to avoid the Hill District at all costs. But in the process, it struck me that it wasn't just an area that was tarred and feathered, but it was a people, and it was perhaps even a race. And it felt to me that this is a community that I knew. This is a community within which I knew people to be wrestling and struggling and wishing and desiring and working hard, just like many of us. And it felt that we needed to do something. I needed to do something. I needed to, I don't know, you could say it was a political decision. You could say it was an ethical decision. You could say it was a good neighborly decision. I don't know what it is, but I thought that we need to think the why as well. Very often, the why of our projects goes by the wayside and gets neglected. Just as it was a passionate investment and concern for Greg Harold, I think that for us, it was the why was important in terms of how we thought it, how we thought why we wanted to do this. We didn't even know what we wanted to do, but we came up with a very grand and a very humble at the same time kind of theme. We said that this was going to be the theme for the service learning project. You can't see it. It's a little quote that says, it comes from Matthew, "A city that is set upon a hill cannot be hidden. You are the light of the world." And we wanted to use this as a sense, ambiguous as it was, with the multiple meanings that is there. A city that is set upon a hill cannot be hidden. You are the light of the world. And we wanted to kind of thematically wrestle with all of those ambiguities to the extent that we wanted to uncover some part of the secret that was the hill. We wanted to shine a light upon it, talk about it, wrestle with it within ourselves, relating to it in a manner that, in a certain sense, also illumes us. And so, to do so in a way that fundamentally, this is really a bummer that you won't be able to see this. In a way that related to the big questions of Personae, which was the self and community. The big theme for Personae was the self and community, roles and responsibilities. And from that big theme, they accrued certain big questions. Namely, what are attitudes, beliefs, and values? How are they formed in me and others? Who am I? What is my identity? How do others shape my identity? What does it mean to claim an identity among others who also do so? How are differences between me and others formed, and how are those differences bridged? Can those differences be bridged? Those were the themes that as a learning community we set ourselves to be wrestling with, set ourselves to be struggling with. And we wanted the service learning project then very fundamentally, very particularly to speak to those themes. We wanted to wrestle with it in such a way that it was pedagogically sound. And so it was. Not knowing what we were going to do, that we traipsed to the Office of Service Learning as a plug leader and met with Tyra Good and said, "Tyra, with whom can we partner in the Hill District?" And Tyra said, "Well, here's a bunch of people, here's a bunch of organizations," and we looked at them and we looked at what might be appropriate, and we settled on the Center Avenue YMCA in the Hill District. We set up a meeting and wanted to see, first of all, what is the service part? What is the part that we could offer? What is the part and where could we meet? And there were a whole bunch of stuff that came across those first 2 or 3 meetings that they wanted or that they said they needed from the YMCA. Center Avenue YMCA is a residential YMY with men living there. This is what we need counseling and support for these men. And I go, yeah, freshman students ain't going to have to. We can't quite do that, you know. well, what else? And so in this back and forth, they administer an after-school program in 3 schools in 2009, Miller and on-site at the Y and at another site, I forget where it is. And we thought that there were a couple of other things as well. We thought that this is where we could come in. We could probably come in here